Time now on Planet America for the Roundish Table, and joining us this week is Michael Fletcher, former White House correspondent, now the national economics correspondent with The Washington Post. Mike, welcome.
Ah, my pleasure.
After all your years of experience...
Talk about the wire.
I'm going to ask you about the wire. All the years covering George W. Bush and Barack Obama, people like us want to know about the fact that if people are thinking, Mike Fletcher, where do I know that name? Not just from your byline, but Mike Fletcher in The Wire.
In The Wire.
That was based on you.
Based on me.
How'd that happen?
You had a friend who made the TV show.
So the guy
David Simon. He and I were colleagues at the Baltimore Sun.
Right.
And he had quite a few former Sun reporters as characters in The Wire.
So Fletch was you. Fletch in the show always handed in his copy late. Is that your problem as well?
You know, it's fiction. It's fiction. I was always right on deadline and clean. My copy is singing too.
And is life as depressing for you as it seemed to be in The Wire?
No, not at all. But that guy, he had a good life. That guy, yeah.
But what about Baltimore itself? Is it as tough as it looks on The Wire?
If you take that tight lens, it really is. I mean, Baltimore has a big heroin problem, and it's a lot of poverty in Baltimore. But that's just the tight shot. Of course, it's a cosmopolitan city, and there's all kinds of stuff. But it has the biggest heroin problem in the United States.
Now, as well as covering the media, I forget which numbers in the series of The Wire it was. It covered politics as well, and there was the charismatic mayor Tommy Carcetti, who became
Martin
governor.
O'Malley.
Now, is he Martin O'Malley? Is he really? That's the question, because people sort of say that Martin O'Malley, who's head of the Democratic Governors Association now, may run for president.
May run for president in 2016. People say he's based, Carcetti's based on O'Malley.
People say?
Yeah. People say. I say.
And that's important because the character, for those who haven't seen The Wire, Tommy Carcetti, had a lot of problems in his marriage. He was quite a womanizer. So this could be a problem for Martin O'Malley.
Well,
people say.
Could be. People say. People say. But also, I'll say this: Martin O'Malley turned around Baltimore. Well, he kept it on the right track. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out on that. Now, let's talk about the serious stuff. We've been talking quite a bit this week about the unemployment situation in the United States. How big a problem is this for the incumbent, seeing unemployment going up rather than down at this time of the election cycle?
This is a huge problem for Barack Obama, because I think that's the one opening that Mitt Romney has, is if the economy is seen as stalling, and most people see the economy through the lens of the unemployment rate, then Mitt Romney stands a chance. And earlier, like 3 or 4 months ago, through the winter, when the U.S. was adding jobs every month, people were saying Barack Obama is strong. He was looking stronger and stronger, even as his supporters were much more confident. But now that we seem to be stalling, I think Mitt Romney's in play. Not necessarily a front runner, but in play.
Does the fact that things were going so well 3 months ago actually make it a little bit worse now? Because people then compare to 3 months ago and go, oh, we thought we were out of it.
Oh, yeah, because we were almost hitting that virtuous cycle. The Dow was up, consumer confidence was up, unemployment was down. People were beginning to trickle back into the job market. So many people had left the job market because unemployment was so bad, and people just had given up looking. So that virtuous cycle is beginning to happen, but now it's almost like it's stalling, and I think Barack Obama's hope is it doesn't, reverse and become that other cycle.
After 3.5 years in office, 3 years after the recession technically came to an end, it's 3 years this month in June, and yet unemployment is still so high, and the perception is that times are really, really tough. How much responsibility does Obama have to take for that?
He has to shoulder that. I was in Nevada recently, and that's the state that has been hit hardest by the housing bust. Unemployment's almost 12%. It leads the nation in foreclosures, unemployment, and bankruptcy. So that tells you kind of the tale. And you ask people, who do you blame for that? They say, well, people do say that, Barack Obama was dealt a bad hand and the banks played a role. But they also say, I wish Barack Obama had done more to fix this. So I think he does have to take ownership.
I think also it just affects everyone. Like I read a stat that I think 68% of Americans said they personally know someone who was unemployed in the last 6 months, who became unemployed in the last 6 months. So what can Barack Obama do? Like what are his options?
That's the problem. I think at this point, nothing's going to get through Congress, really. He's going to sort of talk about his jobs plan, but his hope is to win re-election, and hopefully that will clear political space to get some kind of stimulus through in conjunction with some kind of long-term deficit reduction. That's his hope. Because you need some kind of real jobs plan. You need some kind of infrastructure plan, something that's going to put people directly to work. And this Congress isn't going to pass that. And chances are, even what you said about redistricting, my bet is if Barack Obama wins re-election, not that much changes in terms of the dynamic between Congress and the White House, but we'll see about that.
Mitch McConnell, the Republican Senate Minority Leader, said a couple of years years ago that his number one objective was to make Barack Obama a one-term president. To what extent have Republicans been standing in the way of economic recovery because they just don't want to give Obama a win?
I think there's a real sort of ideological divide. I'll give them that benefit of the doubt, that they believe in different things. They're totally free market. They want small government, and they see Barack Obama as being for big government. So in that way, I think maybe they're genuine in their objection. But they have stood in the way. But also, actually, some conservative Democrats have, too. I mean, if you look, you have to go all the way back to health care reform and how long that took. And it kind of drained some of Barack Obama's capital. And really, his big problem was with conservative Democrats. Yeah, I think that's what hurt him to begin with.
Just to pick up on that point, in some of the books that have come out about the stimulus, they've been saying that they basically took $500 billion off the stimulus to appeal to the conservative Democrats.
Right, exactly. And even the way it was constructed, and Barack Obama takes responsibility for this, or should. I mean, so much of stimulus was tax breaks. It wasn't a true stimulus. And there were a lot of stuff was thrown in. There was like the kitchen sink. And I think of stimulus as, we're going to have new subway systems, and in mid-sized cities. Chicago system will be cleaned up. The railroad lines that are on grades will be put over roads. The kind of stuff that you think of, like there'll be something left, after this spending. But this is mainly tax breaks.
The Supreme Court this month is expected to rule on Barack Obama's healthcare reforms, the Affordable Care Act. If they find that in part or in full unconstitutional, what impact is it going to have on this presidential race and on the millions of Americans still waiting for health insurance?
Well, it will be bad for the millions of Americans waiting for health insurance. It may not be that bad, interestingly, for Barack Obama in terms of the politics, but policy-wise, it's a disaster because this is the crowning achievement of his first term. And if that's undone, then, what have you done? I mean, nothing. But the only reason it won't hurt that much politically, if you ask me, is that Barack Obama's not really, he's not really lauded for passing health care reform. And he hasn't advertised. I mean, he's tried to advertise it, tried to make it seem like a good thing. But most Americans don't understand that it's a good thing.
And yet when you explain that to them, you look at the individual parts of it, they tend to like the detail. Just not the
exactly. I know. It's kind of a mind-boggling situation, but that's it. It's
Now, just to take a sharp turn, you've covered both George Bush and Barack Obama personally.
Yes.
What are your impressions of the actual people?
Oh, interesting. Barack Obama, very serious, serious-minded guy, not a jocular guy with the press. Like I said, eye on the ball. And probably the most confident person you've ever met. Like when he steps into a room, you feel kind of his self-confidence, his self-assuredness. I think I actually heard him when he started as president, because I think he saw himself as the guy who can really bridge that partisan divide, because he really believes...
You think he really bought it?
He believes in himself. I mean, he believes that he can walk in a room and get you and you to agree.
Wow. And he doesn't know what to do when senators say no.
And when they say no, and when logic doesn't prevail, he's kind of lost. And he doesn't love the politics. It kind of like, okay, you like ice cream, I'll buy you ice cream, and you like scotch, I'll buy you scotch, and let's, then maybe
so he's a politician that doesn't like politics.
Exactly, and a talented politician who doesn't like politics. Yeah. George Bush, on the other hand, he's easier to know, easier to talk to. He's more of a kind of a friendly guy. You've heard the stereotype, a great guy to have a beer with, and I think that's actually true.
So what are the implications of that? We heard a bit earlier from Michael Kranish about Mitt Romney. If Obama is that sort of, cool, aloof character.
Yeah, well, Mitt Romney is cool from what they say. I don't know Mitt Romney personally, but everything you hear about him, he's kind of the PowerPoint politician. That's what he is. So, and he has this kind of stiffness about him, a kind of a coolness about him himself. So I don't think he'll be able to sort of exploit any
So who's
difference.
going to win the have a beer with test?
Oh, man. That could be a draw,
Right. Michelle Obama, possibly.
Right. Exactly, right.
Otherwise, it'll be a cool 4 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, indeed.
At this sense, do you think just keep an eye on the economy and that's going to tell the story?
Yeah, I think so, unless there's some kind of October surprise. But if things, unless, barring some kind of new issue coming into the mix, like a terrorist attack or something like that, watch the job market and watch the economy, and I think that'll tell the tale.
Well, Mike Fletcher, many thanks indeed for joining us on Planet America this
pleasure.
week.
Okay.
And Mike Fletcher is in Australia as a guest of the United States Studies Centre at the University of Sydney.